we have with us Baxter Hines. Am I pronouncing your name right?
Correct.
Yeah, he's the founder and CIO of Honeycomb Digital Investments. So we had kept some show. We called some senior speakers to speak on something. So Baxter is speaking with us on the panel session later today. But I thought it would be good to have him individually to give a brief outlook as to how blockchain is going to revolutionize the real estate industry, and especially on the investments side. So, Baxter, you have about 10 minutes. Please go ahead and advise the audience on it. I'll backstage and I'll come back to you when your session is about to end. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you as well. I appreciate all of your time today and giving me the opportunity to speak about blockchain. This is definitely my favorite subject. I wrote a book with John Wiley about this topic. It's called Digital Finance, and it really goes over my vision for how blockchain will disrupt the financial industry, and of course real estate is a huge part of that. If I had to really summarize why this would happen, it's for two reasons. One is you can lower the costs of operating a piece of real estate, so that's number one. And then number two, you can lower your cost of capital through financing real estate. We have a saying here in the US that real estate is all about three words: location, location, location. But I would say today that real estate is almost as much about three other things as opposed to just location, and that is cost of capital, and cost of capital. And so if you can lower your cost of capital, you can make your business that much better with blockchain and really start to take a much bigger share of your local markets or wherever you're looking to invest. And so how can we do that? Well, the blockchain is not only a way to send value through the internet, but it's also a way to send information, just like the internet. But in this case, the information is protected and the information is unique and can be guarded through the blockchain. So you will have access to who gets to view it and who does not. So let me start off with some of the operational things at a high level, and I want to talk about some examples so that you can really see how this is playing out in the marketplace. So the first thing that I would say from an operational standpoint is that people are now starting to use the database functionality of the blockchain to create tokens that represent ownership in that piece of real estate, but they are embedding information that is highly valued about a specific property. So one of the case studies we've probably all heard about is people will start putting the title to land on the blockchain. That's a very interesting use case, because here in the United States and other places, it can be expensive to transfer a piece of property, and it can also be very difficult to find out if the person who owns the real estate that you're buying it from actually is the owner and has legal title, and that there's not some previous owner who may have a claim against you should you buy that piece of property. So what they're doing is that with the blockchain is showing how the property has moved from person to person to person. And once that data is in the chain itself, it's very easy to trace, very easy to track, very easy to audit, and to prove that it is actually your piece of property because of the features of the blockchain. And some of the characteristics of it is that once something is put into the chain, it is agreed upon by all the network, and that gives it verification so that people know that once something is written into the blockchain, that it is enforced as of that moment. And people cannot go back in time, so say a year later or whenever later, and change what was put into the blockchain. So it's a very trustworthy way of tracking title. But another way that people are using this is to actually put in, if you want to call it, the care and feeding of the business. So when you buy a piece of real estate, a lot of times you don't know exactly what you're getting. You know where it's located, you know how many floors are in the piece of property, you know when it was built. But how do you know things like when was the furnace last replaced? When was the property last inspected? When was the if let's say there was something like asbestos or some sort of a lead paint, some sort of material that was used in the business or in the building that someone might have to remove and have it cost money to do so. So what if every time you had the roof replaced, you take the receipt of that, the invoice, and you embed that into the token that's associated with the property? Then you would have, if you did that with all the other things that you did to take care of the property, the next owner who you sell it to will be able to get that information quickly. Now that means either you or someone in your company doesn't have to spend the time transferring all of those documents. And if you buy a piece of property, you don't have to go to the previous owner and get all of that stuff. It's all held there in the database of the blockchain, and it's particular to your piece of property. A lot of times with private equity firms that I see here in the United States or in Europe, they will have data rooms associated with an asset that they're trying to sell. And what's nice about the data room is you can say who gets to look at it and who doesn't. Well, the blockchain allows that. And so when you're selling a piece of property, you've got all of these features or all of these records that the property has. It's easy for people to see those and to know that you, the owner, or the previous owner, or the owner that has the property that you're inspecting, that they have put this data into the blockchain, and it is true, and it's a fair representation of what you're buying or what you're selling. So I think that is an incredible new set of features that will be possible one day on the blockchain. And actually, I shouldn't say one day. We already are seeing a lot of software that is out there that's doing just that. And then also, tokenization is something that can lower the cost of capital, because if you have the title to your land or your building, whatever it might be, you can transfer that from owner to owner very easily. And in today's paper-based marketplace, it's extremely expensive to do that. You have to incur all kinds of lawyers and accountants, as I mentioned earlier, people inspecting title. If you can put this stuff onto the blockchain, there are a couple things that are great about it. Number one, you can potentially sell to a lot of additional people. Number two, you can embed all kinds of regulatory or compliance procedures into the token itself. And so you can keep yourself in good graces with your regulators, or protect yourself from having to go to court over a piece of property that you're buying or selling. On top of that, just because it can trade easier and faster, the cost of the real estate that you're selling it for should go up, because you are alleviating a lot of frictions from that transactions. So it really is a much better, faster, cheaper way of doing business. And we're going to continue to see all kinds of other things. What is really exciting to me about blockchain is that the only thing that really limits the potential is the human mind. People are going to continue to come up with creative ways of doing things through a digital form of business that are really going to amaze people. Just one other quick example that I would give to you is when you own a piece of property, often that property is financed through a mortgage. And those are two separate assets, but they are inherently interlinked in that typically what happens is when you have a building with a mortgage on it, that mortgage encumbers the property ownership. Well, what if when you take out a mortgage, you write something into code where once the mortgage is paid off, it immediately releases all liens against the property? So there's this whole interoperability effect that will also, again, cut out time, cost, and effort from the transacting in real estate. And so it's extremely exciting what is happening today. And I know I'm probably getting close to my time, and want to leave a few moments for questions if the audience had any. Jafarez, any questions from the audience? maybe I'll go over, just since I have a little bit more time left, I'll go over one additional example of something that we're seeing in the blockchain and real estate space, and that has to do with mortgage financing. There is a company in California called Figure Technologies, and they have created a new way to take equity out of an existing a piece of property. So this wouldn't be the original financing that's being done. It's more of if you've built equity in your home or in your building, you can cash out some of that equity. And here in the United States, that's a very tedious process. It takes a lot of time. There are a lot of forms that have to go back and forth to make those loans get originated. And what Figure has done, if I had to sum it up, they have taken the origination time of the average home equity line of credit loan down from about 45 days to 5. So you think about that in terms of wanting to do business quickly and efficiently. That's about as good as you can get in terms of an improvement. And the reason that Figure Technologies has been able to do this is because they're able to take all of the applications that are put in for a specific loan, and they're able to pass that information, again, securely and quickly from one bank to another bank and shop around that loan and make sure that through the blockchain, they're making sure that all of the necessary steps have been taken to originate the loan, that all of the data privacy issues are handled, that all of the other checks that are required are made. And then because, again, the database nature of the blockchain, all of that is recorded and kept in a ledger, proving that it was done. So from a regulatory standpoint, it's a very, very desirable type of a way of doing business. So I think that's an extremely exciting thing, and it creates a situation where the cost of originating these loans in dollar terms or just monetary terms goes down significantly, and that savings can be passed on to the person who's borrowing the money or to the lender. There's just more money to go around with these types of loans.
So hi Baxter. Thanks for filling in the session. There was a question regarding your book, which you mentioned at the start. Is it available for public?
It is, yes. It's available in Asia. There are different retailers that are selling it. So John Wiley is the publisher. You see down here in the bottom corner, Wiley. The book is called Digital Finance. I know firms like Open Trolley in Asia are selling it. The book just got picked up to be translated into Chinese, and I think other languages will be available soon. But right now, anyone can get it in English off of the internet.
Okay, I think somebody has just posted a link. Is this the same one? Digital Finance Unlocking Potential Blockchain? Is it the one?
That's exactly right. Security tokens and unlocking the real potential of blockchain. There's quite a bit of information in here that's specific to real estate, and a lot of other good case studies of how this technology is being employed in the marketplace. I try to focus on the benefits of blockchain as opposed to getting into how it works. I say that if you're driving a car, you don't have to know how the engine works to get from here to your workplace, from home to your workplace, but you do need to know what the benefits of that car are in order to make it work. Same thing with the blockchain. A lot of the technology is going to be put behind the curtain, so to speak, and people are going to be able to use it without having to know how it works. And so that's a really great thing that's unfolding now.
Okay. There's a question from Kaho. He's inquiring, he or she, what is the name of the company for the mortgage startup?
Sure, it's called Figure Technologies, Figure. They're based in California, and it's actually quite a big company now. They started off in the student lending business and decided that there was a lot of inefficiency in the lending marketplace for home equity and for commercial equity lending. And as I said, they've just done a marvelous job cutting out a lot of those inefficiencies.
Okay.
So Figure Technology.
Another question is from Teresa. She's asking, tracking can be good in some areas. One moment. Yeah, tracking can do in some areas, but what about the vulnerabilities?
I would say the only vulnerabilities that can happen would be more on the human side. You don't want to lose your password to some of these assets, because then the data that's related to it can get taken. However, what is interesting about real estate is that it's an instrument that is usually registered to somebody, and so if you do lose the keys to your wallet where these tokens are held, you can actually burn those tokens and reissue them to yourself. So with crypto, that is what's called a bearer asset. So if that is taken from you, it's gone. Just like if I took gold out of your home or I took cash out of your wallet, I would now be the owner. Now, not legally, I'm not the owner, but the reality is, because I have possession of those things, it belongs to me. Now, with a tokenized piece of real estate, if you did lose the token itself, there are a lot of protections to that token, because it's not a bearer instrument. It's more of a regulated type of instrument. So there you still have some kind of claim if, from a fraudulent point of view, those assets were taken from you through theft or some other ways.
Okay, we'll just take the last question. It's from Gustavo Paradi. Is there any particular blockchain platform you are relying on?
Sure. So I would say that over time, we will see people gravitating to newer types of blockchain platforms. I'm a big fan of Ethereum, but I am not so sure that will be where we'll be in 10 years' time. I'm not saying that it's not going to be, but they've got to make a lot of improvements to the Ethereum blockchain. The cost of transacting in Ethereum is, it's all relative, but I think it's high, and I think it could go much lower. Just like when we were setting up this conference, we were sending emails and images back and forth. We can send that for virtually nothing. We should be able to do that with blockchain solutions. If you want to send something as simple as an image, transfer it from you to me, it can cost you $50 on Ethereum. That to me is way too high. They're going to have to bring it down. And I'm looking at some newer blockchains right now, like Solana. There's one called Hedera Hashgraph, HBAR, that I think is very good. Tezos is another one that a lot of these tokens are being put on. And what I think is also important, and I don't want to get too technical on this, but there is something known as forking that can happen with Ethereum, meaning the chain can go in two separate ways if people in the community want to split. Some of these other chains are much harder, or in fact designed so that they cannot split, and so that's something that I think is needs to be looked at as we're getting again into more of these regulated and real assets going on to the chain. You want to look at how they're designed instead of going at what's the most popular.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Baxter, for the session and coming in at such a short notice. And stay tuned. We will have you on the panel later on. We have 2 sessions to go, and after that, so.